Actually, give me a... There we go. Yeah, perfect. Actually, is it? Whatever. I hate when the horizon is like at an angle. What are you gonna do? But either way, either freaking way, anybody who's been a little bit sick of all the fancy pants camera stuff, we're going back to straight spherical. You know, so that's a little bit of ball knowledge if you know the difference. I'm talking anamorphic versus a standard G Master. But plan for today, throw some arms around. I'll decide if I want to do biceps first or triceps first. But I think I don't want to do, or maybe I do want to do, I don't know. I gotta see when I go in there, you know, kind of see how I feel. But I wouldn't mind all bis and all tris. And if I had to pick one or the other to do indefinitely, that's actually kind of a tricky question, right? Because I'm looking at it from two ways. Something about pushdowns first feels very normal for me, but finishing with triceps, you know, finishing with pushdowns and rope, that means that by the time my arm day is done, my triceps are fully pumped. And then, I mean, your triceps are physically larger than your biceps. At least there's just more muscle there, you know, assuming you've been hitting them well. And then when you do a pose down, your arms are freaking gargantuan because a tricep pump is much more impactful than a bicep pump. So that's what I'm hemming and hawing between. Once I get in there, I'll know for sure. But I definitely want to do some heavier movements. Triceps, I'm still going to start lightish squeezing. The main reason for that just being the fact that, you know, it's just going to hurt my elbows if I do anything too crazy. Like if I try to jump straight into like a super heavy push down, or like actually really, yeah, just like a super heavy push down, it's just going to freaking get my elbows tender. You know, they're not ready for that sort of thing. I don't squat off the rip. I get on the leg extension first and get my quads moving, and then I get under the bar. So I kind of think about triceps the same way. And not think about, but that's just how I feel during the workouts. So if I could really give you any tricep training tip, I'd say start with a lighter movement and then move on to heavier movements afterward. I mean, even if you only do 2 sets of light rope extensions, by the time you jump onto a heavy dip machine or just a heavy straight bar pushdown, or, you know, maybe a skull crusher, whatever you're going to do, it's probably going to feel a lot better. Now, you know, that's kind of up to you to sort of find out. And maybe that's not true at all. And maybe you have elbow tendons that are made of freaking, you know, triple grade 904L steel titanium alloy, and, you know, you're just a freaking beast. But biceps, I definitely want to push the envelope in both ways. So I want to do some heavy curls, a little nasty. And what I mean by that is just maybe a little bit of body language. I don't really understand the hate on a little bit of swing in a dumbbell curl, especially if the point of it is to do a really heavy one, because you're almost just giving yourself self-assistance on the way up. You can't help the way down unless you just drop the weight, which would be freaking stupid. And I also want to do some really light squeezing burning sets as well in the mixed. So I'm not sure how I'll go about balancing the two, because I could start with pretty heavy bicep curls once I get warmed up, maybe move on to another heavy movement, and then finish with light squeezing stuff. But just like how I talk about supersetting a body part lift where arms is bis and tris, you know, sometimes I don't mind doing a set of triceps, a set of biceps, back and forth, or maybe doing 3 and then 3. I look at the sets on their own in the same way. So, you know, not as though I have this book of different workouts written out, but I know that just based on this kind of framework, I'm going to have a good set, or a good lift in general. So maybe I want to start with a set of light squeezing bicep pull downs or something, and then move on to a heavy set of cable curls, and then go back to a light squeezing set of something else. Just really changing the style of set on a set-by-set basis, like one after the other. And then I also like doing maybe all my heavy stuff and then finishing with all my light squeezing stuff. Or pre-exhausting, all in a way, with all the light stuff first and then all the heavy stuff. So there's just a million freaking ways to go about it, you know? So that's kind of annoys me when I see like a comment thread that's pretty long and it's like, oh, you know, what's the best style workout to stimulate my biceps, you know? And actually, people don't even say, what's the best workout to grow my biceps? As though the answer isn't really just a bulk, you know, and eating more food. But yeah, man, I mean, you know what you're doing. At this point, honestly, with how prevalent fitness has become, and you know, it's never been a small thing, but I think now we're definitely at a peak in terms of just overall kind of knowledge base. I think everybody kind of gets it, you know, everybody gets the basic gist. It's no longer a problem of information. It's more so just a consistency issue for anybody who's still, you know, working their way up to building some good momentum. But now I'm just getting into a little ramble, so let's just jump straight to set number 1. Now this will be after I've kind of warmed up a bit, so I'm sure I'll have a better idea of the exact workout plan going forward. I'm gonna try to write it out. If you guys want to see, like, I'll kind of add the next frame for a minute. Not a minute, but like, you know, a couple seconds of just a breakdown of what the workout was. So I guess the guy who always comments the exact workout with timestamps, I'm kind of stealing his position. But nothing else to say. Let's get started. I've warmed up. This is actually decently heavy, but it's still a squeezing set, just due to kind of the nature of handles like this. All right, so I may as well be doing the rope. Right, I'm pushing down and also pulling the handles apart. But instead of doing the rope, which is essentially overhand, this is a little more underhand because I'm holding the cables backwards. It's kind of a weak grip though, so I'm actually gonna throw in some straps. I've never used them before, but I think it'll kind of help. I don't want my forearms to limit my triceps ability to go nuts. So I'll squeeze them while I'm strong and then burn out with some partials. One more just like that. All right, one more, and then I'll pick a new movement. All right, let me think about what to do next. That was kind of a good combo set because it is freaking heavy, but I still got a really good squeeze and burn at the bottom. So I guess we'll find out. This overhead extension will be good. Get a little bit of a glimpse of the pump. I got a mirror right in front of me, which makes this machine way cooler. Two more of those. Okay. Oh, shit. Yeah, one more will be good. Oh, shit. All right, 4 might be an overstatement. Let's see how the next one feels. All right. Okay. All right, let's finish with one regular, well, let me think for a second. I'm not sure if I'm ready for a finisher yet or if I'm just all done. Yeah, let's burn out with the sack and then we can move on to curls. Woo. All right. Yeah, let's do a heavy dumbbell curl now. 60s, maybe 70, we'll see. All right, let's just do the 60s. Heavy, but not like crazy heavy. Let me see if I can pick a better song though. Okay. Okay. Holy shit. Oh, okay. One more of those. Whew. Yeah. Okay. Oh shit. Whew. Yeah. All right. Let's do a standing cable curl. That'll be good. I was about to do a feeler rep with the stack, so that'd be 250. Felt like I was gonna rip my biceps off. Let's do not even 190. And these will be quick. I'm not gonna squeeze and hold this set yet. All right. All right. Ooh. Okay. Oh, okay, one more, a little heavier. Just one peg. Okay. Whew. All right. Yeah. I think a preacher might be the finisher, but maybe two, so we'll see. If this is the last set, then I've got no reason to leave anything in the tank, which, should be every set, but the last one gets a little bit of extra privilege like that. So if you're gonna slack on one, at least don't make it the last one. Come on, it's nuts. But 130, light-ish weight. I'm gonna squeeze it like a maniac though at the top. And that is what's gonna really sort of build up the burning effect. Come on. All right. Two. Yeah. Oof. Okay. Oh my gosh. Arms are done. Let's see how they're looking. Spoiler alert. Let's just say they're PUMPED. Faux show. There we go. All right, I changed up some of these lights, but today was a lot more normal looking, I think. I want it to look cool, but I also want to be able to see what the heck I'm, freaking doing. But I think today was a certainly solid ass freaking arm day, that's for sure. And after doing those overhead extensions, and those felt really good, I mean, shit, it's just getting me, it's making me think I'm going to have to add weight. So that stack is already really heavy. The machine has good leverages, though. It's not like 50 pounds on that machine is lighter than 50 pounds on this cable. So it makes me think maybe a plate on the side would be good. I don't know. We'll see. We will freaking see. But how about we just take a glimpse at today's, let's just call it today's results of that arm day. So that was what? 1, 2, 3 of these, 5. Did I do 4 sets of overhead or only? Ooh, I don't remember. I think I did 4. Yeah, so 3, 4, and then 1 more push down. So that's 8 sets for tris. And then biceps was 2 sets of heavy dumbbell curls, 2 sets of, what was it? The standing easy bar curl, followed by, 1 set of squeezing preachers? Yeah, that adds up. So wait, those 2, 1, 5? Yeah, I do notice I can kind of get that same feeling of like, let's just call it completion on tris, or on biceps a little bit quicker than biceps. But actually, now let's lose the tank as well. Actually, this is kind of, I should start doing this more, because now my shirt isn't so sweaty. The tank top just kind of sapped it up. So when I put the real shirt on, I won't be so freaking wet in the car. But let's see how we're looking. So we're still lean. I haven't lost the Christmas tree yet, but it's coming. You know, I don't think I could gain, I don't know how many pounds of muscle I'll be able to gain this off season. I can't even tell you. But I don't think I'd be able to gain substantial size. Ooh, 1 second. There we go. Yeah, the battery was about to die. But I don't think I'd be able to gain substantial size in this off season without some body fat, right? And I'm going to try to mitigate that with my cardio, with a gradual increase in calories, not just jumping straight to 6,000. Also, slightly less blood sugar spiking foods. Not so many Krispy Kreme donuts. Dude, cream of wheat has made a freaking comeback. I've been slamming it. But either way, let's just enjoy the Christmas tree while we still have it and see how arms are looking pumped up on this fine Sunday morning. Yeah, I actually remember the day this time. Yeah, right here. Oh my gosh. Whew. All right. For a 239 point, well, actually, let me check. I've got it all tracked. But for a 239 point something or other character, that's a good ass pump. But let me see. I've been tracking my weight pretty well. Sheets. Yeah, 239.2. So that's a steady 240 over just about the last week. And I've kind of been averaging out in the low 3,000 calorie mark. So I think I might want to up it. I think 3,500 is going to be what I stick to for this next week. And I'll see what happens. That's kind of the if-then approach that I think kind of can apply to anybody when it comes to an off-season or a dieting phase. If I eat so-and-so amount of food, then, and see what happens. And if that then is what you want, keep going. But if it's not, then you've got to make an adjustment to that if situation. So I want to gain, I don't know, pound a week, a little bit of just a steady amount. Let's say a pound a week-ish. So if I want to gain a pound a week, I'm going to eat this 3,500. So 250 grams of carbs, 90-ish of fats. I think that adds up to like 400 or 500 grams of carbs. I'll do the math. I've got it all plugged in. I just forget the number. And then I'm going to get on the scale every morning after I go to the bathroom, before I eat anything, so I have an accurate scale reading. Plot it. So put it in my little Google Sheets on my phone and say, okay, let's look at this trend. Over this last week, I was, 39 point something. 239, 240. And now, by the end of the week, it looks like I'm kind of creeping up. Upper 240 point something. So 240.8, 240.9, 241, something like that. And as long as that trend is upward, well, then I'll just stick to my 3,500 and whoop-de-doo, be good. But then my weight's going to stagnate, or maybe I'll kind of predict when I can tell I should up my food a little bit and adjust from there. So maybe I have to raise it from 3,500 to 3,700 in a couple weeks so I can maintain that steady increase in weight. And then by the point where I say, dude, I can't eat any more food, however long that's going to take, and I want to get lean again, well, then that's going to be the end state. And hopefully I'm, closer to, I really couldn't even tell you. I don't know what my end goal weight is during this off season. And during this bulk, what am I saying, off season? But yeah, there's nothing else to say. Let's just get back in the car and head freaking home. There we go. Got to do a little, just make a little sound to watch that sound bar pop up. It's been a while since I've had a car talk where I forgot the microphone. It's good. I'm on a good streak. And I think there's actually a strong correlation to that because I've got more carbs in my system now. After I'd finish a hard workout during prep, I could tell my blood sugar was probably a little bit low. Now, not like, hypo low, but just lower to the point where I would just freaking forget to press this little button. But yeah, arms, buys, tries, I don't know, man. They're inseparable. I don't want to do them on their own. I don't like the feeling of just a bicep pump, right? It's like I'm missing a piece, Imagine sweet and sour chicken, but it's just sour. Ooh, that's no good, right? Something I can't think of any other pairings, but something like that. Just I don't know. But that's not to say you're not getting proper, let's just call it workload from doing a push day and a pull day. And I don't even have a problem with a push day, really. My issue is a pull day. For me to do biceps and back on the same day, for one, biceps is back is a really big lift. Like I would add something to chest and shoulders. I got no problem with, but back is. Oh, for a second I thought that was a bald eagle. It was just a big ass crow with something in its mouth, like a piece of bread or something. Let's get back on topic though. So chest and tries, really, I don't mind. That's cool. It's back and buys which gets me, because back's a big muscle group anyway. Like I'm sitting here for not a straight hour, but not too short of it for a full back day. 6 sets-ish of lats, 6 sets-ish of mid-back, especially now that I'm kind of upping my back volume a little bit. But more so, it's not as though I'm just increasing my back volume. I think now I'm just doing what I would consider an adequate amount of back volume. And I was kind of underdoing it before. Obviously in prep, different story. But even in a bulk, I think a little more back volume is going to be good for me. So that my mid-back and my traps, or my mid-back and traps, and then my lats each get individual attention. But, it's already a big muscle group. And my biceps are going to be residually activated just from doing any heavy row. Like I try not to. It's easy to keep your biceps out of a pull down if you're doing a light set, because you can just, put your straps on, almost relax your hand because the straps are holding you into place, and just pull with your shoulder blades and your elbow, right? Really using your hands just as hooks. But on a heavy day, there's no getting around it. You're going to get a little bit of work. So to then add a bicep workout, either after that, which now my biceps are just kind of fatigued, but not in a good way, right? Like during that workout, every set of biceps felt good, even though they were getting more and more tired. Like they were really getting direct work. They're getting more pumped. At the end of a back day, not so much. It's more like they're just weak. And then I feel like the lift itself ends up suffering, because now if I try to do biceps after back, I just feel like I'm not gonna be able to hit it like that, And if I do it before, well, now I'm sitting here for at least 20 minutes, maybe 30, just doing biceps, and then starting back. So it just ends up being a lot. And I've thought about that before. I used to have a very interesting split. I've got it written out in a Google Doc somewhere, because in my head, I was kind of thinking, okay, well, I want to hit every muscle group twice a week, which I still think is a good frequency, just about. And I also want to evenly distribute the workload on a day-by-day basis. So a full pull day, lats, mid-back, biceps, that's a lot. That's way more than just a shoulder day or even just a chest day, right? Like, think about it. If you were to basically break yourself down into cuts, if I had, a full-on filleted Sam, my back would be much more weight of just pure muscle than my hamstrings, or my quads would be my legs in total, quads and hamstrings plus calves, that's going to weigh way more than my biceps. So I was thinking, okay, well, let's even this out. So I'm doing like hamstrings and triceps. I was doing I don't even remember, I think I was doing chest and biceps at the time, which I didn't mind, that's kind of a cool combo, because your biceps aren't getting any work. I don't mind that. Maybe I'll throw that in every so often, kind of change it up a little bit. But either way, I still am. I've still got a sweet spot. I've still got a little soft spot for a full-on arm day. Now, if you think differently, I would love to hear your logic, because honestly, I think that's some of the most important info you can get. Not even just like a set-by-set routine, or like if somebody writes out a workout. I've always kind of been confused by this, because I'm going to try to do this today. Like, I really hope I didn't forget. But when people write out a workout plan and all it says is like, okay, dumbbell curls, 3 sets of 12. Okay, preacher curl, single arm, 3 sets of 10. And then, easy bar curls, 4 sets of 5, or 4 sets of 8, I don't know. Like, when a workout is that basically written out, it's like, what are we doing? Is this a workout for someone who's in an off season? Is this a workout for someone who's dieting? Because if it's for someone in an off season, in the sense, like someone trying to grow, they're eating enough food to grow, well, are all these sets to failure? Are these sets like light squeezing? Are these sets, like, you need more information than that. You can't just say, okay, this many sets, this many reps. There's more to it. So that's why I really like hearing people's thoughts on, like, how do they like different movements? How do they go about different kinds of training? Like things like that. Because then you can hear someone else's not only approach, but also why they thought that, Because with the gym, it's not, and even with something like this, and this is just an easy analogy to make because, I've seen Mark do it so much. But like with golf, and this isn't from my own experience, I can't freaking golf. There's pretty much the basics. You don't want to cut it. You don't want to slice it. You got to come straight down, something or other on your toes. Like, there's a pretty cut and dry technique where if you work on basic fundamentals, which everybody kind of knows about, and become more consistent with them, well, then your performance is going to improve. But I think the gym's a little bit more fluid, You can kind of go about it with, I'd say, just more of a focus on variability. Right? So if your workouts are getting stale, it's just you're setting yourself up for failure, and not good failure like going to failure, just like stagnated progress. And not only that, but just a feeling of boredom. If you're coming in to do the exact same workout every day, I mean, shit, I wouldn't have any fun. If I came in and I had a binder and I flipped to the same page, okay, arm day, 2 sets of dumbbell curls, 2 sets of preacher curls, 3 sets of something or other curls. I mean, it feels like I'd be going through the motions, you know? So that's not to say that if you have a routine like that and you like to do it because it keeps you consistent and you like this feeling of like checking off each box of each set and already having it pre-planned before, especially as a beginner, I think having a much more frameworked routine is very beneficial. But you'll get to a point where you remember the workout. You don't need to look back at the piece of paper to know what you should be doing. And not even that, but also when it comes to the weights that you're using, the way that I look at it, I don't need to track every set and every number of reps and make sure that next week I go heavier. Because the way that I'm thinking is, if every time I come into the gym and I do a hefty set, even if it's not crazy heavy, like only for 8 reps, but you know, like today with the 60s, what was I doing? Like 10 decent reps, a few partial reps, and then like those hammer curl finishers. I'm still probably under my peak muscular endurance. So like my strength felt pretty good. Even just curling those 60s for the first set and the first few reps, I mean, it felt like I could do the 70s. But I'm not, used to these heavy sets over the last prep, so I kind of have to build up that resilience. But if I bring it, I take the 60s for as many as I can do, and my goal is always, okay, pick a weight that's decently heavy and take it to absolute failure, or as close to it as I can get, or maybe go a little extra beyond failure and throw in like those extra hammer curls, kind of swinging it a little bit. If that's the case and you really do that every lift, then you have no choice but to progressively overload. Because now, 2 weeks later, after you've been doing that approach, well, if you did the exact same number of reps with the exact same weight, you wouldn't achieve your goal of legit failure, assuming you've gotten a little bit stronger because you've been eating enough food to recover and over-recover into growth, if you sort of follow me there. So rather than try to reach this bar of, okay, I have a workout program, and last week I did 200 pounds on incline Smith for 8 reps, and that was failure. All right, well, my program says today I should try to do 210 for 8, or whatever it says, and I'm not knocking programming. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, for me, I'd rather go about it like, okay, I know how I feel today. I'm warming up. All right, let's say I do a 200-pound feeler rep before I start doing an incline Smith press. All right, well, actually, I feel a little bit stronger. Let me increase the weight a little bit. Let me put a 10 on each side, make it 220, and then take that set as hard as I can go. So if I do 220 for 8, and that's real total failure, boom, I just achieved progressive overload. And I didn't have it pre-planned, but this approach on that day was to bring it. So it's more like, as long as you're bringing it, you're going to get bigger and stronger. But that relies on this internal, essentially, not policing, but just assurance that you are going to push it. And sometimes I think there's a lot of guys out there where having that number written out beforehand is what would push them harder. So doing the math and saying, okay, I did 200 pounds last week. All right, let's go for 210 this week, and then 220 the next week, or whatever rate of weight increase is necessary. So at the end of the day, as long as you're lifting heavier going forward and making these sets more intense, either with more reps, with heavier weights, with some assisted reps from somebody else, as long as something is increasing over time in terms of your intensity, well, then you're good. It just kind of comes down to what does that for you, And I think that gets underappreciated, the why and not the what. Because if I come in with an insane level of hype, I'm fucking crazy today, I got quads tomorrow, I assume if I eat my food today and I get a good amount of rest and I wake up fresh and I come in and hit some quads, that I'm going to come in there with a vengeance, and I'm going to want to outdo myself from what I achieved the last workout, in not only sets and weight and reps, but also just with how pumped I was. So if you have the headspace of trying to bring it and push the envelope, not in an injure yourself way, but in an intensity kind of way, well, things just kind of work themselves out. And then you don't have to worry about this calculation of your strength. You just have to bring it and then basically just kind of watch yourself get stronger. So, it's if you like having it written out, that's not an issue. That's not what I'm trying to say there. That's just sort of the way that I think about it. Like, I don't need to write it down to know I got 4 plates for 10 on Smith for my last squat session, or Smith machine squat session. So I'm going to keep that in mind, and also find out how I feel actually warming up on the leg extensions and my adductors and my glutes and my lower back. Do some freaking calculations in my head and think 4 plates in a 25, and then play like in a crazy Attack on Titan funk edit and just go freaking nuts. But I guess I'm just trying to say focus on your why, right? Because if you've got a real bring it mentality, well, shit, man, your body's gonna follow where the mind leads. So just keep that in mind. It's always good to have a little bit of a reality check on your intensity every so often. And sometimes that reality check is just more like a real check. Like, all right, I really have been bringing it. Nice. But if you've been slacking and you know it, just get yourself amped. Get yourself freaking amped. Because I can guarantee you won't regret it. That's I can say that for sure. But yeah, nothing else to say. I'm going to get some food in my system. And then I'll see you for a crazy quad day tomorrow. I'll do a little hamstrings, but more so just to warm up before the leg press and squats and everything else. So I'll freaking see you for that.